Hi, this is Martin from EduMusica team, and I would like to show you what I believe is the most effective and the most useful musical game for children. With this game you develop musical hearing, memory and attention. The bottom line is you have several instruments and play them to children, and after that you play only one of them and they have to guess which one it was. Let's take a look at how to do this game. So at the beginning it's best to use 3 instruments, which should be as different as possible. You may use some rattles, bells, whistles or something like that. At the beginning you have the presentation. So you present the instruments and you do it twice. The first time everybody imitates the sound of the instruments with their voice, and the second time just listen very closely and try to memorize the sound as good as possible. After that you have the children close their eyes or maybe turn around and you pick one of the instruments and play it. After that a volunteer, one of the children, has to guess which instrument it was. So this game develops hearing, attention, musical memory, focus and so on. So as I've said, at the beginning you use 3 instruments, and then later on you can add more and more. It's best to use, let's say, up to 7. And at the beginning they should be very different, and then later they can become more similar. At the end you can, let's say, have a family of instruments, like a family of bells, which can have also very similar sound. That's why it also becomes more difficult for the children. And also another possibility is to not just play one instrument at the time, but play a sequence. Let's say a sequence of 2 instruments, or later maybe even 3 instruments, and they have to find the right ones and repeat them in the right sequence. Okay, so how to do that musical memory activity? You can begin with 3 instruments, especially when the children are young, and they should be as different as possible. So for instance, a duck, a bell, and a cow. Okay, it's best to put them on a soft cloth, so if there are some bells or something like that, it dampens the sound. So you do presentation twice. The first time you play the instrument and then you imitate it with your voice. Quack, 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 quack. And the second time you just go through and just listen very carefully. Then you make the children close their eyes or turn around, and you pick randomly one of those instruments. For instance, this one. When you stop playing, you ask them to open their eyes or turn around, and you ask for volunteers, and then you choose one of the volunteers to show you which instrument was played. So he comes over and tries to pick that one. And if it's correct one, I say great, and if it's not, maybe you can ask him to maybe try a little harder, or maybe you repeat the whole thing once again. Maybe he didn't listen very well or something like that. However, this is the basic idea. At the beginning, these instruments should be as different as possible. There can be rattles, bells, flutes and stuff like that. Later on you can add more instruments. this. Something like that. And a flute. Up to 7. At the beginning they should be very different, they should even look different and so on. And later on they can be more and more similar, like a family of bells or bird calls or something like that. It's good to have different types of instruments which have different sounds, which look differently, and also which have different types of playing, like different movements that are needed in order to play them. Something like that. Eventually you can use family of bells, like this. And trust me, if you have 7 of them and their pitches are very similar, it can get very difficult. And also, when the children get more experienced, you can also not have only one instrument, but a sequence of instruments, like... So, which 2 were played and what was the sequence? Or perhaps even 3, like